I watched Supernatural. Told you I started watching Supernatural again. Yeah. And I got so depressed. Yeah. Well, I love the show, and I've seen the. I don't know if you've seen the meme of, and it's shows the vampires in the cafeteria from Twilight.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
And then it shows the brothers, and then Dean goes, "Son of a bitch!"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "I'll watch that movie."
I think that Supernatural is one of the great all-time shows. I really do.
Oh, it's and it puts.
It knew what it was.
Well, it puts the redneck into horror.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite characters was in the early seasons, the guy with the mullet who was the computer genius.
Yeah. I just got to, he's asleep on the pool table,
right.
And he's like, give me about 15 hours. I can get this,
Right. But, Supernatural knew what it was. It knew, and now obviously it had some bad seasons, but overall, it knew what it was. It knew when to take itself seriously, and it knew when to get stupidly silly. It made fun of itself. But see, and this is what I tell my son, because he's a creator too. He's got a comic book.
Yeah.
And we talked about this early on. We said, whatever you think you might want to do in your universe as you're creating it, you need to do it early.
Yeah.
Even if you only do it once, you've established it. Because if your universe takes off, if Nevermore Hollows takes off, and we've never done any type of comedy, right? Well, when we try to do comedy in it, people go, "There's no Nevermore Hollows." You got to establish it early on.
Well, they did a Scooby-Doo crossover,
which was amazing.
With that's my favorite Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah,
has been my entire life.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Yep.
I loved it, and I've been wanting to do a picture, of all that, because I'm a huge Scooby-Doo guy, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely amazing. And they couldn't have done that had they not set it up early on that they were willing to poke fun at themselves and take big risks. That was a huge risk creatively.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what was it? Strange New Worlds, Star Trek, doing the musical episode. Mm-hmm. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But I looked at my wife afterwards and I said, I think they just destroyed the franchise.
Yeah.
But they didn't, because they're having fun inside their universe.
Yeah.
They explained why this happened, and it ended up with a Klingon boy band, which that's never going to leave my skull.
Right.
It's always awesome.
Well, talking about taking creative risks, right, and talking about my background in comedy, and I do think that there have been episodes I've put out that is clearly tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Drug of the Damned is one of our most popular episodes, and it's clearly redneck humor, right? But one of the things that we're going to be doing soon, okay, is Brother John Fite came up with this.
Yeah.
As we're talking, he's the guy that's playing Darwin Gallows in our Patreon episodes.
Right.
He says, well, you're a comedian, or was, and, I am in that realm now. He is, because of his character, John Cougar Methenkamp. He goes, what if we did an alternate reality reading of some of your episodes?
Well, I'm not a stand-up comic, but I never was a class clown, but I wrote for the class clown.
Right.
So I would say stuff under my breath that the class clown would pick up. So I'm
right. And you're a funny guy, right? Yes,
I try.
You are. We have a lot of fun offline when we're in our conversations.
Yeah.
So in this, what I'm letting the people know now is we are going to come out. So after this conversation spawned that in my mind, because I've been wanting to know, how do I get more comedy into the show, but it makes sense.
Right. So
here's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think this is brilliant. And again, John put the idea in my head, and then in one of my caffeine fueled walks,
right,
I came up with this. So here's what we're going to call it. We're going to do these where it's going to be me, you, John, and whomever else we can get to do a voice actor.
Right.
We're going to pick a story that's already out there that we've done. I'm going to narrate it and take on a character. Each one of you guys are going to take on a character. We're not going to edit it. We're going to hit record.
Oh,
go.
Wow. And just do
We're
it.
going to have fun. The goal is, if we screw up, we screw up. Let's make it funny. But we're going to call it the Pink Flamingos Trailer Park Players presents a reading of whichever story.
That is awesome.
And I'm hoping that we, maybe this weekend or early next week, at least the three of us can get together and do our first Pink Flamingos Trailer Park Players Presents episode and put that out. I'm so stoked on that because that's going to be so fun. And we're going to make it a video. I decided we're going to make it a video so you can, we'll probably do it all remote because John is up in Indiana. Yeah. So you can be from the Black Sheep Studios and I'll be here, but we're all going to be wearing fake mullets when we do it.
There we go.
So, I like it.
Yes, I love it.
So that let's segue into this. So our Nevermore Hollows Psychos, we love you. And if you like what we're doing, share it, smash the like button, make comments. Whether it's a good comment or a bad comment, leave us 5 stars. And if you want to buy us coffee, do that. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, do that. We've got some great swag. And if I can do that, I got a couple of shout outs, Chris.
Go for it.
All right. We have 2 new Night Terror level Patreon members.
Cool.
We've got Peyton Colgrove.
Thank you, Peyton.
Yes. Awesome. Sent out the shirt already. Got the other swag. Should be ready to send out here in another couple of days. And I don't know the person's real name. This is just how they signed up. Northwood Blood.
Well, thank you, Northwood Blood. That is so cool.
And
thank
I got to tell
both.
you, the coolest thing I ever got to do so far doing this show is when I got to send the shirt to Northwood Blood. Right? That's the name I use. I thought, I'm going to reach out and find out this person's name. I thought, nope, it's cooler to do Northwood Blood.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're thankful for our new Patreon members. So we want to talk a little bit about Psycho Juju, how we came up with Psycho Juju.
That creepy little monkey.
Yes. So these episodes are designed to kind of give you a little peek behind the curtain. Okay?
Oh, of course.
So if I've said before that we launched Nevermore Hollows with Psycho Juju in Winona's Waffle Hut. But that's a lie, Chris.
How dare you?
It's a lie. Do you know what the very first episode ever released on any platform was?
No.
It was the Crawling Man.
Really?
I launched that. Okay, on YouTube.
Yeah.
It was the very first thing I ever launched. And then I thought, well, I'm going to move over to podcasting. And then by that time, I'd already had written a bunch of stories and had started finding the voice that I wanted, started understanding where I was wanting to take Nevermore Hollows. So I launched the podcast with Psycho Juju. But I thought that the Crawling Man would be the story that got us going, but it wasn't.
Well, you got to understand, when Alan says he's written a bunch of stories, that's a lie. He has written hundreds upon hundreds of stories that we are pulling from now. So he writes, I didn't think anybody would, I draw a lot, but he writes more than I draw. But you got to give Psycho Juju credit, is that who would ever think the villain would be a little tiny, a capuchin monkey. They're not very big.
Right.
And, they're usually cute and all that other stuff, except for this one, who is not cute and is a little pain in the behind, to be honest with you.
Yep. So one of the things I like about, again, always trying to be visual as I'm telling, and then when you came on board as art director, now all those visual things I was doing kind of for myself and going, well, I hope the listeners like when I describe this character, I hope they like it. But I was doing it for myself because it was fun. Yeah. Well, now every time I create a character, I initially go, well, how before I go to Chris and ask his opinion, what can I give him? Oh yeah, because that's what drew me in. Besides our friendship, drew me in was the descriptions. You give just enough for my sick little head to start wrapping around and seeing what these things look like.
and now they live rent free in my skull. But it's the descriptions of the little pentagrams on his jacket and the swirls on his eyes, and the fact that he's got clown white, which in my mind was just kind of smeared on.
And sometimes it's red.
Yeah.
In some stories, he smeared his face in red. Sometimes it's in white.
Right. But he's always got a clown.
Right. And in that first story, when he escapes, he turns. One of the things I love about it is he turns and he smears his face across the front of the door. That's just, he's such a defiant little monster. So, which gets us back to the clowns. So you've never, up until recently, you never asked me, what's up with the clowns?
Yeah, and then we were having a discussion about some, about story ideas and stuff like that. And oddly enough, which happens a lot, we both came to the same conclusion at the same time, that maybe he hates clowns. Right. and maybe it's because he wasn't treated very well by a clown. Now, we're not saying anything against clowns.
Right. If you're a clown.
Yeah, if you're a clown, cool.
We embrace your clown lifestyle.
The world needs clowns, but...
Except for mimes. Screw the mimes.
No.
I hate mimes, dude. I hate mimes.
There's a couple of mimes. There's a guy down at SeaWorld that I just think is awesome.
I always think of Marcel Marceau. Was that his name? Marcel
Marceau, yeah.
Yeah, Marcel Marceau.
Well, he's French.
Yeah, but still, growing up with that, I hated it. I was so bored. I want my clowns to be in your face, scary, creepy.
Yeah, I kind of do too, which is kind of weird.
I don't want cerebral clowns.
Well, then you're getting into politicians.
Bump.
Yeah, sorry. But, then we were on the phone and we both were like, holy crap, what if, and so that there's a visual forming in my head, which will be available soon.
As a piece of art. For sale.
Yes, of course.
Or it might even be free for our top tier Patreon.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's lots of stuff that we're... I'm going to do a commercial. There's lots of stuff that I've been producing here lately that's going to be able to be T-shirts and stickers and all kinds of cool swag for your Nevermore Hollows fan. And like I said, you can decorate yourself or you can decorate others.
You can even decorate your baby.
Yep.
You know what? And guess what? As a joke, I did this as a joke. My wife and I, when we were creating some Nevermore Hollows merchandise here a while back, I said, what would be funny is if we could sell panties. You know what? We even have Nevermore Hollows panties.
There we go.
Or we will when the merchandise launches.
There you are. So
if that offends you, sorry, but we think it's a hoot that you could buy Nevermore Hollows panties.
That is funny, but that in the past, in the far past, that Psycho Juju is very old.
Yes.
And he's been around for a very, very long time.
Right.
And part of his persona now is that he hates clowns.
Yes.
And that's why he always has
one on a leash.
At least one.
There's very dominant.
Oh, yeah.
To have a clown on a leash. He's showing his dominance there.
But, and then unfortunately, in every story that he's been in, the clown tends to buy it really hard.
Yeah. He hates the clowns. He's always going to kill that clown. And I think about the poor soul. Was it a clown, or did he just abduct someone and turn them into a clown so that he can abuse them?
I think because he is such an evil little critter. And I think that we have also established that Granny Juju knows exactly, or Granny
Juju.
Sorry, Granny Dingo. Excuse me. Knows exactly what he really is.
Yeah, she knows. She knows the secret.
So evil can see evil
because she looks at him and says, "I know you."
Yeah.
And then what's he do? He's like, "Holy crap!"
Sorry,
peace out.
He kind of bows out, but I think he abducts these people. Yeah. I think he tortures them and then turns them into these clown minions, let's say.
Well, if you really want to get into his psyche, okay, it's the Psycho Juju story, What's in the Box. That tells you exactly who. I mean, when we introduce him, he's clearly this demonic, psychotic monkey, right? And he's got no agenda other than to just bring complete
just
terror
chaos.
and chaos. And he hates anything that's good, but and we're going to talk about why he specifically hates little Stevie. Because he always, he's always hating on everybody, but he's always got something special, little Stevie. So he in that story where he has the What's in the Box, he takes that. When the story opens up, the woman is tied to the chair in the old building there, and he walks out, and there's that. As the story builds, he starts making her think that her son Tommy is in the box.
Yeah.
So it's he just wants to screw with your mind. If he doesn't, and if you'll notice, a lot of times he doesn't succeed in killing the people.
No. It's just chaos.
His goal is not necessarily to kill. Now, he will kill you if that's what it takes. But his ultimate goal is to mess you up. I
love stories like that, and you do several where you're kind of dropped in the middle of the action, as it were. And this one is a good one because with all the players in it, there's only two that really matter, is the woman and Psycho Juju. And, that you're rooting for her to figure it out. You're rooting for her to get away. And but you kind of know if you've been listening that this freaky little monkey is he's a killer.
Right. So that's why you think, hopefully if we did the story right, you're thinking the same thing that Amber, the character,
right? You're
thinking the same thing that Amber's thinking. Tommy is in the box.
Oh yeah.
And again, so I thought I'd already had a couple of episodes. We introduced him in Winona's, and then he shows up in the field in the haunted carousel, and he announces in that story, I'm coming to bring hell to Nevermore Hollows.
Yeah.
Okay. So he declares what he's going to do, and in the third one, we see how he's going to go about it. Okay.
Yeah.
We get deep inside his mind right there. So when he's in there, and he opens up those first doors, and you've got the puppy in the basket.
Oh gosh.
And he shoots the puppy. Dude, when I wrote that scene, I was like, oh my gosh. One, that is so dark. Two, can I put that out? Do I want to put that out? What are people going to think about what's in my mind? But third, I always go back to something I read in Stephen King said one time in a book on writing, and he said, you got to let the character be who the character is. Okay? If the character's going to say a certain thing, he's got to say it. If she's going to act a certain way, she has to act a certain way. So I thought if this is going to be my ultimate evil character in this universe, which he is, right?
Oh yeah, and he's a good one.
Then he has to shoot this puppy. He's got to shoot. He's got to shoot the puppy.
Well, in any story, you have to have a good villain. You have to have a villain that you love to hate.
Right.
And the hero can only be the hero if he reacts to what the villain is doing.
Right.
And Psycho Juju he's an excellent villain because in his mind, he's following his own nature.
Yeah.
He doesn't see anything wrong with what he's doing. And it's everybody else, it's their fault because they just think he's not doing what is, the right thing. But in his mind, he is, which is causing problems, chaos, destruction. And so, in his mind, that was the next logical step.
Right. If he's wanting to get Amber to think that Tommy is in the box, He's got to show how brutal he is in that moment, and he's got to kill. He's got to kill the puppy
because he's trying to break
right.
her.
Well, he even shoots her husband.
Right.
Right. So I mean, so as a storyteller, I had to keep ramping it up. It's terrible he shot the puppy. It's horrific that he shot her husband. So the next logical step is that the son is in the box.
Right. You know, and so I like Psycho Juju as a character. I like him as a villain. I like him visually because, again, he's, you know, you're not expecting all these. One, you're not going to expect a monkey to talk. Two, you're not expecting him to be this,
right.
which is it comes at you from the side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not he's this big bad, you know, scary looking guy, and it's a little monkey, mm-hmm. and he's going to kill you. He's going to stab you. He's going to torture you. He's going to do horrible things to you, and he's going to do it with a smile on his face and a you know, a little laugh in his voice.
Right. So like when we first see him in Winona's that
mm-hmm.
first night that we see him, everybody's looking at the clown.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at the clown, and then he speaks.
Right.
And that to me is one of the fun parts of telling a story, is that misdirection. So back when I was doing comedy, it wasn't as observational as it is now. I mean, you had your observational comics, but now almost all comedy is observational. But back
mm-hmm.
in the day, they you know, a good comedian would do a lot of misdirection. They would do the setup and the punch.
Oh, yeah.
And the setup was taking you down a one-way street, and the punch took you just the opposite direction.
Right.
And so I like to try to use that in the storytelling a lot, is that misdirection. And before we get any further in there on this, because there's a couple of things I want to point out about
sure.
the Psycho Juju's character development,
right.
is my magic mind has kicked in, and I am feeling the focus all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, I took mine right before we started this broadcast, and I can already tell
mm-hmm.
a difference in my thinking.
Yeah,
and I feel good.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm a late night person. I get my second wind, and then I'm up till like maybe 3 in the morning doing artwork,
mm-hmm.
and so. When I get up in the morning, it's a trudge to the coffee maker, you know. But like this morning, I did not drink any coffee because I was busy, so I had to do my magic mind, and I feel good.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, I know with magic mind, I'm not going to have that drop off.
Yeah, you're not gonna have to crash.
No.
And it's a healthier, because it's got all those 100% organic. The mushrooms
right.
are grown in California. It's the good nootropic stuff that's going to help you, you know, try to live a healthier lifestyle. And it's, you know, backed up by all the science, you know, all the peer reviews. And right now, folks, we appreciate you letting us take this moment to present it to you. Chris and I are fans of it.
Of course.
And if you click on the link in the show notes and go to magicmind.com and use Nevermore LT at the checkout, you can get 20% off of a one-time purchase, 48% off.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's big. And by using that link, we get a little something. It's not much, but it does help us pay for some of the things that we need to pay for to keep the show going.
Well, it helps us to actually buy our Magic Mind.
Right.
That, you know, that I've come to rely on, and I again, I'm not saying it's, you know, that it's addictive or anything, but the feeling, the clarity is an awesome thing.
When you put something in your body that makes you feel healthy,
right.
you want more of it. All right, so good. So now, a couple of things I wanted to point out about Psycho Juju is, you know, we've talked about his clowns and stuff, his voice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's distinctive.
So when I originally recorded the episode, I recorded him more of a straight voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was where he was like, everybody freeze. And I was trying to do something with my voice, and I recorded it. And I think I've said this on another episode somewhere. And my son comes in, and we were listening to it, and we both came to the conclusion that we were missing on an opportunity to try to create something iconic, something distinctive, something different. And so the joke around the house is when I'm locked in the bedroom, because I do a lot of the recording, in a corner of the bedroom, I've got a little table set up, and because it's the quietest place in the house.
Right.
And so I'll go up there and I'll shut the door, and if you hear weird noises coming out of the bedroom, because I'm making all these monster noises, I'm trying things out, right? And when we get to talking about the nubs, I wanted the story of how I came up with how they sound.
Yeah,
that's its own funny story. But with Psycho Juju, I sat up there, and for hours, dude, I tried different things.
Right.
So then I came up, my voice isn't creepy enough because I don't have that deep voice like you. I mean, that's the whole reason you're in the show now is your voice. None of the art stuff matters.
You just want me for my voice.
That's right. Because you've got this deep, cool voice. And, dude, when you record with your deep voice and we detune that just a bit, dude, it's creepy. Like when we did Mr. Crispy.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
I kept telling you, go deep with your voice. And it was perfect. And I thought, well, what if we detune it a little bit? When we detuned your already deep voice, it was, to me, it was awesome. But anyway, so I'm sitting up there alone in the corner of the bedroom, and I'm making all these noises, and I'm trying to come up with how does he sound, and it hit me. Wait a minute. If he's demon possessed, he's still at his core, he's a monkey.
Right.
So he's got to have those simian inflections. Like, and if you'll notice, I do a lot of...
Yeah.
And like when he says I a lot, he'll go, right? So I sat there and I did that, and then I detuned it a little bit to give it a little bit of a, of a creepier quality. And, he does those little sniffles and stuff. Right. And here's what made me land on. I almost didn't put it out again because it's another one of those moments early on where I wanted to be taken seriously, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to have fun.
Right.
And I wanted to create something different. And so I sat there after I recorded it all, and I went, if I put this out, it's either going to be really cool or it's going to be stupid. And I thought, I'm swinging for the fence, man.
Always.
I'm swinging for the fence. I'm going to put this character out there, and if they like it, they like it. If they don't, it's unfortunate because I think it's something different. So everybody loves Psycho Juju.
Again, you've created an excellent villain, which is really, to be honest with you, hard to do. But this one is he's visually interesting, and then he's a psychopath.
Right. So my favorite scene of him is when he goes to the trailer park riding on the back of the pit bull.
Yes.
Like a conqueror.
He comes trotting in. And I love that he, in that story, he's in command of his own little army. Yep. Which is scary. And then you freak me out because it's a two-parter. You freak me out because you hurt one of the characters that I dearly care for, and I was like, and I think I called you, and I was like, please tell me you didn't do what I think you just did.
Right.
And you're like, no, it's cool.
Yeah. Because I told you. And I've told everybody that in our circle, I'm like, when I kill a character off, that character's dead. There's no bringing them back.
This isn't going to be like the soap opera thing where they come back later.
And as much as we love Supernatural, we were just talking about Supernatural. As much as I love Supernatural, it kind of got boring how many times they came back to life.
Yeah,
so when somebody dies in this universe, they're dead.
Well, if you notice in our universe, when people die, they die hard.
Yep.
There's no pleasant... just he closed his eyes. No, they did. They get killed.
He walked the rainbow.
No, he got hit by a truck.
So
or eviscerated.
Right. So in that story, I left it on the cliffhanger for the second part, and the guy Darren, who great guy, I need to reach out to him again. He's down in Australia, and he was the first guy to ever reach out to me and go, dude, I really like what you're doing. can I have you on my show? And I was like, dude, okay, cool.
Yeah, sweet.
So that's how I think they was putting him in the show. He sent me an instant message, and he was like, no, not Rory, because I told him if somebody dies, they're dead. But so that gets us to why does he have this hate for the boys, specifically Stevie?
Well, I think he hates both of them because we've discussed this amongst ourselves. And if you're a listener, you've noticed that the boys they represent innocence.
Yep.
They are adventurous. They get into trouble, but at the heart, they're innocent. Mm-hmm. And I think Psycho Juju, one of his main things that he wants to do is corrupt.
Yes. Evil always wants to taint the good in real life.
Right.
I mean, that's literally the essence of Nevermore Hollows is there's an evil realm and it wants to taint you and rob you of your future. Stand up against it if you can, and you can.
And if you are a listener, then you notice there are many characters that surround the boys that try to protect them and to keep them from being corrupted by this. But Stevie tends to figure out all his how to thwart him.
Mm-hmm. And, so you're right. Stevie, so Rory is the one who gets them into trouble.
Yeah.
And Stevie's the one that kind of figures out a way to get them out. Now, sometimes they are rescued by some of the folks that you said, like Ivan or Mosley. But a lot of times they just have to figure it out themselves, like we did, because we're Gen X guys.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we were feral. Man, we nearly got killed. We didn't have nobody coming to our rescue. We had to figure out how to not get killed. But the reason he hates Stevie specifically is, if you just what I said, Rory has that little streak. He's innocent, but he's got that little streak of let's go get in a little bit of trouble.
Right.
Stevie's got the purest heart,
and
Psycho Juju hates it.
Right. It's a white light in the darkness, and he wants to put it out.
Yes, well said. That's exactly it. So, I wish, like you said earlier, I've written tons of stories. We're trying to get them all recorded. There's more stories coming that I'm trying to write that moves all these players along. But where the story's ultimately going.
Oh, yeah.
There's a war coming to Nevermore Hollows.
There is, but I'm a listener. I'm a participant, but I'm also a listener. And I love stories with the boys in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing where I was going with that a second ago. When I ask people, if somebody says to me, hey, man, I really like Nevermore Hollows. Well, first, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for putting in the time, because I know time is the most precious commodity.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we're giving you something that you can enjoy. So I always follow up, well, thank you for that. Who's your favorite character? 100% of the time, it's never not the boys. It's always the boys. You ask a woman, who's your favorite characters? It's the boys.
Yeah.
You ask a guy, who's your favorite characters? It's the boys. And then on the flip side of that coin, you go, what's your favorite bad guy?
And it's Psycho Juju.
It's always Psycho Juju.
Well, like I said, the boys are, we can all remember growing up, especially, us Gen X guys, of being able to get on our bikes and we're gone all day.
Yeah.
Nobody cared where we were, and all we knew is we had to be back before the street lights came on, and
unless you were poor white trash like me and they didn't care if you didn't come home.
There wasn't any street lights. There wasn't any street lights on my road. It was rural, and I wanted to get home because I could hear stuff moving in the dark as I'm racing my bike to the house.
Right.
It's just that it's that innocence, and it's that camaraderie, because they're buddies no matter what. They are brothers. They're from different mothers, but they are friends, and you can't break them up.
No.
And so when you did that, I went, oh, holy crap, and that's a big thing for a reader or a listener to care about a character so much that when you think something bad's happened to them, you're upset.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like when McCready got hurt.
Yeah.
You called me that day. You went, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, what are you doing?
What the crap, man? You know, because now it's like two boys and their buddies, and now these two boys have a dog.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, the heck for this is as Norman Rockwell as you can freaking get. You know, of course, our Norman Rockwell is kind of weird, but
if Norman Rockwell was in hell.
But you know, it's a great story.
Well, and you know, I think it's funny. I'm just thankful that we're able to do this and put it out for folks. And gosh, man, I'm thankful anybody's listening, because you know we've said this before too. When I hit send or upload on that first podcast where Psycho Juju was in it,
mm-hmm.
I literally said nobody's going to listen to this, and if they do, they're going to think I've lost my mind. But I'm glad that people do listen, and I'm glad that people do enjoy it, and I'm glad that you're part of it now. And
well, I'm glad this is a wonderful outlet for I guess my psychosis. But it is awesome when you see people, and we have met fans, which is really cool.
Who would have ever thought, man?
But and to see that people care.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing, man. Yeah. That's something that you can't just find somewhere. That's an awesome thing.
Well, that lets me know that the effort that we're putting in
mm-hmm.
is paying off. Again, because, man, you know, you and I talk about this a lot. We're of a certain age. We're closer to the grave than we were 10 years ago, right?
Well, yeah.
And so we know that time is valuable and precious. So
yes.
if we're going to create something, we want it to be awesome, as
right.
awesome as we can make it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to listen to it, we want you to come away from it and go, dang, man, you know, those cats are really doing something cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And but anyway, folks, we're going to end it on that note. Chris,
yes,
Madman Goins, thank you for being part of the show.
Well, thank you for allowing me to play in your sandbox.
We're in it together, man. And we will see all of our psychos on the next show.
See ya.